Good afternoon, everyone. Obviously, you can hear me. It's a very good microphone. I want to thank you all for coming into this arena and being here to help the family at this difficult time in order to celebrate the life of Leo. I am Vicki and I'm his niece. We in the family often called him Sonny. You know him as Leo. But for us, he was Sonny. And he was a very interesting person in his own right. He had lots of fun times. And I want to tell you all that today will be a day to celebrate him and to celebrate his lovely wife, Carolyn, and his son, Marshall. So if any of you have stories you want to share when it comes time, please do. They love to hear the stories. They love to know how you know him. And anything else you want to share, please do. Okay? And moving forward, we want to remember him and we want to celebrate his life. Thank you all for coming again. And Marshall.
I'm not gonna use this. You can hear me, right? Uh, my dad was a consummate intellectual, so this is gonna be a pretty nerdy memorial service, which I think he would have appreciated. I'm gonna start with reading from Shakespeare. But one of the things that never ceased to amaze me was my dad's ability to remember and conjure up quotes, passages, whatever it was, that he had not read probably since high school or college, and 90 years old and still new, sharp as it was. This is from Cymbeline. Fear no more the heat of the sun, nor the furious winter's rages. Thou thy worldly task hast done, home art gone, and taken thy wages. Golden lads and girls all must, as chimney sweepers come to dust. Fear no more the frown of the great, though thou art past the tyrant's stroke. Care no more to clothe and eat, to thee the reed is as the oak. The scepter learning, physique must, all follow this and come to dust. Fear no more the lightning flash, nor the all-dreaded thunderstone. Fear not slander, censure rash, thou hast finished joy and moan. All lovers young, all lovers must, consign to thee and come to dust. No exorciser harm thee, nor no witchcraft charm thee. Ghost unlaid forbear thee, nothing ill come near thee. Quiet consummation have, and renowned be thy grave. My dad grew up in Littleton. There's quite a bit of family here from Colorado. Grew up on a farm at, I understand what is now, University in Bellevue. There's a picture with panorama, black and white at the back. He loved Colorado. He was happy to be from here. And for those of you who've been here, if you think you've seen it change in the last 20, 30 years, I think his perspective would put that in context. He would talk about riding his bike on the dirt roads. He would talk about, at that time, Denver still had streetcars. He would walk to the streetcar, would run up Broadway to Hamden, which is where the paved road ended. And he was responsible with taking money to the bank. So he would walk up from the farm to there to catch the streetcar downtown and ride into downtown and put money in the bank. His dad was a farmer and rancher and traded in livestock. As much as he loved being from Colorado, he was not interested in staying in the farm work. Those of you, my friends, do the urban chicken thing, ducks, he just thought that was the worst choice you could basically ever make. He talked about it. One of his chores was tending to the chicken and cleaning chicken poops. And he was thrilled to go to the store and buy eggs rather than have to deal with that. He was the youngest by quite a few years, which I think put him in an odd place in the family. And his father died young, which I think also put him in an odd place. I think that helped me understand some of how things went for him. In high school, he wrestled. Through college, he played tennis. He skied. Somewhere he has which I was unable to find, but somewhere maybe I will. He talked about before they built Vail, he drove up there with my mom and hiked up and skied Vail before it was. And did that till adulthood. He went to CU Boulder on a scholarship where he was, as you all I'm sure know, as smart as I knew he was, the more he would actually talk, the smarter I realized he was. So he got 2 degrees, engineering and physics. He worked with Keck, who's a Nobel Prize winner. He worked with him in his research lab. Upon graduating, he moved to California and worked for Stark, the missile program. He literally was a rocket scientist. At some point, he went to Cape Canaveral and worked with NASA. We don't really know too much about what he did. Never talked about anything about that. I didn't know he worked in the capacity till I was well into my 40s. One of the things that was something I struggled with my dad was he did not share things unless you prompted him and really drew him out. He did like to travel, as a family, as kids, we would go all over the West. With my mom, I know they would drive to Las Vegas. They would see performers. They saw Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. and Sonny and Cher and Harry Belafonte, and He loved that. He loved to go to the national monuments, and he loved photographing nature. He loved photographing anything and everything. I think most of you know. You see some of his flowers and landscapes. That's why those are up there. But so we would go to the Mittens and the Arches and Royal Gorge and everywhere else in the West. Didn't want real keen on the East. Apparently he did fly. I never knew him to fly. It was before I was alive. He was done with that, I guess, by the time I was born. But he did travel to Germany on a ship, got to see East and West Germany, which I think was pretty remarkable, and he would talk about that. Apparently being a rocket scientist wasn't challenging enough for him, so he went back to school and got a law degree, also from CU Boulder, and practiced law, and then for I don't know reasons, he ended up taking a position at the Colorado State Court of Appeals, where he edited the judges' decisions for publication into the record as law. And there's a tribute to him from them up here, which if you ever had him read anything from you, I did, academic as well. They mention his infamous red pen. Absolutely. These were state Supreme Court justices, and there's some pages up there you can see that he had absolutely no problem, yes, crossing it out and telling everyone and anyone, this is not how you write. Which, when I was like in 6th grade, that was was a little hard to swallow, but it was absolutely a talent of his. His forte was not socialized. Those of you knew him knew that too. But anything and everything he did that was in any sort of instrumental capacity, he excelled at. So in addition to working and raising the family, he ran for school board and served on Colorado education committees. After he retired, he volunteered for the Colorado History Museum. He photographed the objects in their archive. Got a message from one of the volunteer coordinators that he surely contributed at least 2,000 photographs to their archive. Was a true intellectual, and loved that. As I said, he would quote all kinds of things, but in particular Shakespeare, just one thing I read, Voltaire, which is the quote at the back of the program. He would know laws, he would know precedents, other classics, and something that I'm very much I have some skill in that area, but something else that would just astound me was he still knew formulas and calculus from whenever he did that work. It was, I don't know, something would come up and he'd be like, well, the volume of a sphere is yada, yada, yada. I mean, again, through his 80s. All that said, I think one of probably the smartest thing he ever did was when my mom sat down and talked to him at a party, he realized that she was a very special person, and they started dating and ended up marrying. Been married for 60 years. They adopted my older brother, and then had me, and he served as a father, and he was not so great at expressing his love in ways I understood, but in hindsight, I think his service was his way. He was on PTA, coached soccer, when I swam, he ended up being head of the board at the swim club. So we were membership number 1. I remember that one summer, because the head of the board was number 1. So when you went up and, it's the eighties, you said, oh, I'm member, whatever, it was number one. But he was very private, he was very compartmentalized. As I said, he was not one to share unless you really prompted him. I guess the way to say that was he was a hard man to know. I suppose I take after that in some regard. It for me was unfortunate that I didn't get to know him better or sooner. Something else, well, I do want to say that, which is part or much of the reason we had time to reconcile as much as we did, and for me to get to know him as much as we did, is the astounding work that the heart surgeons did to keep him alive. He had as much heart surgery as they felt that they could do. He outlived every estimation of how long he could survive, how long he could last. Where I think he would have died just about the same age as his father, who would have been 65. How old his dad was? He was that old? His father? No. Okay. Well, anyhow, I don't know if that's what it was. I only ever heard him talk about his father once. And that was this winter at New Year's dinner when I had a friend, who's unfortunately not here today, ask him about his father. And I really don't know anything about that other than he said his father was also very quiet, didn't talk, didn't show emotion, didn't show affection, as I suppose folks still do, but particularly from that era. But as part of the silent generation, he was very much of that generation. He grew up post-depression, born in 34, and you made do, and he made do. He was very successful in many ways. He saved all his life. He believed in institutions. He believed in the institutions of America. He believed in law. He believed in education. They served him very well. He was more than dismayed to see what is happening now. And as one of the first things that kept him alive, when was it? 5-6 years ago, did my timeline here. They gave him no more than a year to live with his heart. And his goal was to stay alive long enough to see Trump defeated. And then he was unfortunate in some ways that he lived to see Trump reelected. It was just, he was involved in politics, and he cared deeply about these things. And there was a poster on one, or a picture on one of these boards that is, as dismayed as he was at least happy you got to live to vote against him again. So we have that picture, even though it's kind of a terrible picture. We're staring in the sun. So he endured. He was stubborn. He was as stubborn as they come. I am as stubborn as they come too. So when we clashed, we really clashed. And there were a good few years when we did not speak. And that was unfortunate. But as I said, him living longer than anyone thought possible allowed us to reconcile, and I'm very grateful for that. And I think as much as anything else, what my dad did is, as best he could, which was usually really good, he did the right thing. He tried to do the right thing. I would say even sometimes to a fault, but I have great respect and appreciation and an admiration for that. I, for, for my entire life, I never knew him to willingly or intentionally do anything petty or mean-spirited or wrong. And I think that is a rare and admirable thing. So we're gonna do another reading and then a song, and then if anyone wants to share memories, you can. If you don't feel like doing that now, or you think of something later, as I said, there, you know, there are a lot of people in his life who I just did not know existed, know who they were, know how they knew each other. So any of that you're willing to share, my mom and I would appreciate. So this is Death If I Should Go, Joyce Grenfell. If I should go before the rest of you, break not a flower nor inscribe a stone, or when I'm gone speak in a Sunday voice, but be the usual selves that I have known. Weep if you must, parting is hell, but life goes on, so sing as well. So on top of everything else, so I'm gonna put you on the spot here. At the age of 89, he starred in a short film. It's now an award-winning short film. It's the movie poster is up here somewhere. Thank you. And maybe start the sharing of memories. Laura, if you might say something about working with my dad on it.
So yeah, you can see our poster over here. Leo agreed, as Marshall said, at the age of 89 to make his screen debut in our film. And first of all, I think it was just incredibly impressive that at that age, he would be willing to take that on. That's a daunting experience for anyone. And I just thought that was really, really cool that he was willing to do it. And it was interesting because while you were speaking, Marshall, I thought there are so many little snippets from working with him on this film that speak exactly to all of the traits that you were talking about. So I'll give you just a few. I think the stoicism that you described really made him a fantastic actor. It was, the production team that I brought in, they said, okay, so this man, he's never acted before, and we've got one day to shoot this, and we're just gonna jump in, like, we'll see what we can do. And they were shocked because he required basically no reshoots. You put a camera in his face, and I think when you put a camera in someone's face, the person gets weird, right? Like, if you put a camera in my face and tell me to walk somewhere, I'm gonna be like, I don't know how anymore. And he just rolled with it. I mean, he didn't even flinch. And I think it made him an absolutely fantastic actor. And it was really, everyone was so impressed that he should have been doing this his whole life. And we went to a few film festivals, and at the festivals, that was commentary everybody made. Like, we can't believe that this man has not acted before, because he just did such an amazing job, which was really, really cool. On the topic of him being a tough critic, this is kind of funny. But when we finally showed him the film, you can't tell in the day what it's going to look like. And I think he agreed to do this because I was Marshall's friend, and maybe because it felt like an interesting new experience, but it wasn't something I think he expected to go anywhere. And I was proud of it when we finished. And so when I shared it with him, and his comment, I think this is a direct quote, is, well, it's better than I thought it would be. And I remember I texted that to Marshall, and he said, that's a really big compliment coming from my dad. And I took it as one. And I will say I finally felt sort of vindicated when we came back from one of the festivals and brought him a t-shirt, and he looked so excited. And he put his t-shirt on right over his clothes. And I thought, how neat that he got to experience that. And the third thing I'll say on the topic of Leo being sharper at 90 than I am now, he just, it was amazing working on this film with him. And the topic of the film was mortality. And he was like right there with commentary and suggestions on how we should do it. And his ideas were great. I guess also on that topic, I'll say that Leo and I played Scrabble together for the last 10 years on like Words with Friends. And I have won a lot of Scrabble games in my life, but I can count on one hand the number of times I beat Leo, because he's amazing. I mean, I think he aged the way that we all wish we can age. So it was just really fantastic getting to work with him on this and getting to know him in that capacity. He was really, really impressive, man. Yeah. He and I played chess, and I had a similar.
Feel like how I used to feel waiting for participation from my college students. You can shed tears. You can shed tears that he is gone. You can close your eyes and pray that he will come back. Or you can smile because he lived. Or you can open your eyes and see all that he has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see him. Or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember him and only that he is gone, or you can cherish his memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you can do what he would want, smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. As I mentioned, my dad, the music he loved, he really loved. One of the stories he would occasionally tell was going to see Louis Armstrong at the Paramount Theater. Probably the early 60s. And took it upon himself to ask if he could go backstage and meet the man. And did. And the picture of Louis Armstrong with his kids is when they went back and got to meet him. So if you're wondering why the random picture is there, that is why. That was something he really enjoyed. So we'll listen to that as we exit here, and invite you all to my bar that my dad also helped make possible, which is just a couple blocks away here. For as long as you all want to stay. There'll be food over there. We won't charge you for drinks, but that I probably, my bartenders probably charge you $1, tip them is all I ask. And with that, yeah, I appreciate everybody coming. I hope you remember my dad fondly.